consider important elements, for example, communication breakdowns, because in digital environment, no limit verbal cues and can lead to misinterpretation. And for this reason, our goal is to create in our students, to push in our students competencies that help them to define messages that are well created. Or another problem is related with technical barriers, for example, related with the ability in the use of many platform tools and etc. Or are difficulties related to accessibility. Or another element is the cultural misunderstanding, because in digital environment, we can meet students that have different communication styles and cultural expectation. And this can be really difficult to manage in the digital space. And also, there is the technology frustration, because in digital environment with digital tools, not all the time we are able to define in a clear way our emotion. I think that we need to share frameworks, because sharing the frameworks, we can design learning experience for these students following a common point of view. I have selected frameworks that, in my opinion, are really relevant. First of all, DigComp, it's the European framework that describes the digital competence for all citizens. But also it's important not only our focus on digital competencies, but also we need to integrate transversal competencies. And for this reason, I have decided to select LifeComp. This is another framework in which we can read about competencies about communication or empathy, and we can put together LifeComp competencies with DigComp competencies. And of course, it's important now also consider the competencies related with artificial intelligence. And for this reason, I think it's really important to know the UNESCO frameworks in which are described competencies for students and competencies for teachers. And the UNESCO artificial intelligence frameworks are really relevant, because in the center there is the students. It is not the technology in the center, but are the people in the center. And the last but not the least is the new framework. Now is only a draft. And it is focused also on artificial intelligence literacy for students who are attending primary and secondary school. And we need to decide to change our point of view when we design our learning experience, our digital environment. In my experience, it's really important engaging all students in creating a digital code of conduct that reflects shared values and expectation. This is important because it promotes ownership and accountability while ensuring diverse perspectives are represented. Another point it's create inclusive guidelines in which we fix rules about respectful language, chat etiquette, and reasonable response time. And in this process, we need to consider a regular review. And for this reason, I think it's really important scheduling periodic review of the agreement to address emerging issues that our students can meet. And of course, when we speak about learning experience, we need to refer universal design learning. And we need to understand that now we can select many tools that can help us to facilitate our students. I have selected, but it's only an example, of course, platform tools like Padlet. And we can use Padlet for allowing students to express themselves using not only text, but also image, audio, videos. Or we can use a book creator application, because using this application or other apps like this, we can enable our students to create storytelling in a collaborative way using diverse media, and this can help students share perspective and build empathy across differences. Or we can use for video responses tool like video. And in this case, I present Canva Video Studio for Education, in which we can use video-based communication, and this approach can allow students who struggle with the written expression to share their thoughts more naturally. Or it's really simple. Maybe we need to use translation tools, because we can manage barriers related with languages, and there are many tools for this. And also there are other tools that can help us to offer to our students opportunity to share their feelings. We can start using really common platforms like Google Forms, because it provide safe spaces for students to reflect on conflict privately. These tools allow learners to process their thoughts, and they can share with us their point of view, and we can receive these inputs, and we can redesign our proposal for learning. Or now we can use artificial intelligence supported practice environment. For example, we can use Mizu or Character artificial intelligence, in which we can create for our students learning experience in which they can experiment how artificial intelligence offer the opportunities to view different rules. And in these activities, they can practice the conflict resolution skill. And we can manage, because in this solution, if you are teachers, you are able to read the chat between the artificial intelligence tutor and the students. Or this is, I can share with you, just a second, I have prepared, maybe you can see when you want, I have created a demo in which I have used, okay, I have used Mizu for creating a scenario in which students are involved in, I hope that is working properly. Okay. This platform is free, and you can, this is the description, students practice conflict resolution in a customizable scenario, receiving immediate feedback to build confidence in a safe environment. And they can use natural language because it's a chat, and they can start I try to, hi. And I have artificial intelligence tutor that helped me to start this hide, ready to start, practice your conflict resolution skill, choose a scenario, and we can start it. I don't know. It's engaging. It helps it helps our students. No problem. Here are the few scenarios you can choose from. A disagreement with a friend about that movie you watch, a conflict in a group project, maybe this one. And I can continue this chat. Sorry, too many. Okay. And of course, I can write, or I can record my question or answer, and after artificial intelligence help me to write. Okay, come back. And I think it's important to create a common map in which we can define competencies students need to resolve conflict in digital classroom. I have selected competencies from DigComp 2.2, and in my presentation that I repeat, I want to share with you, you can read all in a really complete way my proposal, because this one is we can work on focusing on digital communication and collaboration, because we want that our students are able to express themselves respectfully and clearly using digital tools, because the problem is not only educate students with special needs. We need to educate all students. And for example, another goal is recognize different communication styles and accessibility needs, and adapt language and tone to promote mutual understanding. Or we can focus on critical thinking and perspective taking, and I have selected goals, learning goals that maybe we can change according the context in which we work. And it's really important also monitoring class climate with digital tools. And we can consider the level of engagement of our students. We can use artificial intelligence tool for the sentiment analysis. And starting from the data that we are able to collect, we can adapt our learning experience. Digital tools can help teachers select patterns that might indicate emerging conflict or exclusion. And now we have many platforms or tools. Of course, in Europe, these tools are less available than in other regions because we need to use tools that are GDPR compliant. But in the next future, I think that this kind of tools will be more available also in Europe, and I have selected few of these platform or tools, and I have described function and how we can use in digital conflict resolution. For example, we have this one that is particularly effective in detecting exclusionary language or signal of distress in vulnerable students population. Or we have Harmonize, that it helps maintain
Sandra?
respectful. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I
If
have
you
really
could wrap up quickly, I would, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I have finished, and I think that you can find also prompts that I have suggested for use artificial intelligence like a tutor of the teachers and trainers. And this is in my presentation, there is a list of prompts that we can use for designing scenario, for design activity, and etc.
Okay. Thank you, Sandra. This is actually a fantastic presentation. It has lots of tools, and you've also mentioned how to use them. I have a very quick question. If you can, I was thinking about in these tools, you did not list ChatGPT, for example. It's a tool that we all use quite a lot, I would say, in our workplace. What do you think is the approach of educators towards ChatGPT or Chat AI, Sha AI, the French one? Do you think it's something that they are happy to use, or it's something that they fear a bit? What is your opinion?
I think that it's important for us to educate our students in using artificial intelligence chatbot, and in my list there isn't ChatGPT because it's really common. But for example, in this last section of my presentation, there are prompts that you can use with ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude, or I think it's important not focusing in one only ChatGPT, but we need to be open because different now is how its chatbot work is not really clear. For this reason, we need to compare the output, and comparing the output, we can decide, okay, this chatbot it's better for my needs.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you so much, Sandra. And we will move on now to the next part. It's actually related to conflict. We see conflict around us all the time, but this is a bit more specific to what happens when you have students learning together. And a specific thing about learners with disabilities, I read a report recently. It was published by UNICEF in 2021, and it mentioned that learners with disabilities are 3 to 4 times more likely to be bullied than learners without disabilities. So our next section is focused a bit on bullying, and since it's the digital context, cyberbullying. So with that, I'm now looking at Kieran Innes. He's the founder of TooTooT. It's a platform that he will discuss a little bit and present it. So can you please tell us a bit about TooTooT?
Thank you, Tavishi, and thank you everyone for having me on here today. I'm just going to share my screen just so everybody can see the TooTooT website. So as Tavishi says, I am Kieran. I'm the founder and CEO of two businesses. Both businesses share the same mission. It's all about giving people a voice. With TooTooT, that's about giving children a voice in schools, and allowing them to report concerns anonymously to their safeguarding team and to their teachers in that school. And our second business is Scrbe, which is all about giving a voice to employees within businesses, very much under the same banner. To introduce TooTooT and kind of why it's so special is that we know from research, not just in the last few years, but for the last maybe decade, that a large chunk of young people who experience bullying will not report it to their schools, will not report it at all to any adult, not even their parents. And in the last couple of years, that number was 50% of children wouldn't report that. And what we found when we were talking to children was there was three reasons that they didn't want to report it. The stigma associated with speaking up, the fear of repercussion. So if the person who was doing the bullying found out that they would report it, they were worried about the outcome of that. And also the friction. So the traditional methods of going to speak to an adult can be very, very hard for children. They're not sure how you're going to react. They're not sure if you're going to take them seriously. And so what we wanted to do with TooTooT is give children a direct, anonymous voice on a medium that they're used to. So they can use their phone, they can use their school computers, they can use their tablets, to have that direct line of communication anonymously with the teachers and the teams in their schools.
Thank you, Kieran. I wanted to know how much are parents aware about this platform? For example, do they know if their students are interacting with it?
Yeah, so we do have communications that go out with parents for sure. So anytime we launch in a school, we obviously want to involve the parents. We want to share with them the great work that that school is doing to give their children a voice and to allow their children to speak up. What we don't do is we don't give parents visibility of their specific child. So it's important that we keep it anonymous even from the parents themselves. And that's for a few reasons, but not least of which the report could be about the parents. And so we don't want that child to have that fear of repercussion if their parent ever found out that they'd said something about them and about their home life. And so for us, it's very much we want to keep that confidential between the school and the anonymous child in the conversation.
Right. And how long has this platform existed for?
Yeah, so TooTooT, we've been going for about 9 years now, all the way since before the pandemic. During the pandemic, when we did see a shift, not so much a surge, the levels of bullying stayed the same, but there was definitely a shift towards cyberbullying and online bullying because obviously children didn't have that in-person interaction that they once did. That has come back obviously since the pandemic as well, and we've seen the levels of bullying in person return to around 1/3 of children, whilst the cyberbullying stayed where it was in the pandemic, which is about 1 in 5 children experience cyberbullying. So overall, we did see a growth after the pandemic from the amount of reported bullying that happens and cyberbullying.
Right. So across these 9 years, can you share a little bit? I'm sure you've seen some trends. Can
Yeah.
you share a bit about what you've seen, what you've analyzed in the past 9 years?
Yeah, of course, of course. The two real ones to focus on are firstly, anonymous reporting in general. So that is on the rise, and that's indicative of a few things. We don't feel that that's indicative of the fact that bullying and cyberbullying is getting worse, but more indicative of the fact that we're making it easier for children to talk about underlying issues that already existed, because we remove that friction from their lives. And so what we see consistently year over year is more and more children using the platform to report instances of bullying, cyberbullying, domestic abuse, and everything and anything under the safeguarding umbrella. And much to your point, Tavishi, where you said before about children with SEND can experience, 3 to 4 times bullying compared to that of a child that doesn't have SEND. Our own data shows it's at least twice as likely on TooTooT. So we saw in our data from 2023 that 63% of children who had SEND were bullied in a year, compared to that of 33% from children who weren't bullied. Who weren't SEND. And of those 63% that were bullied in a year, half of them had reported that they were subject to violence as well. So it wasn't just, name calling, it wasn't just cyberbullying, it was physical.
So you have really important data that teachers can kind of integrate into their classrooms. Is there some kind of info session that you do, or is there something that you do to make them a bit more aware? Because it would be very useful, I think, for teachers.
Of course, of course. So I've talked a lot today about how TooTooT is anonymous, and it absolutely is. At the point of reporting, the teacher doesn't know that it's Kieran who's made the report, but that doesn't mean we don't have data. So with every single school we work with, we connect directly to their management information systems, their student information systems in the school, which means that we can collect and track a lot of trend data. So we can see the fact that children have SEND, or they are a boy versus a girl, or they're of a certain age group. And what we can do is we can aggregate those bits of information and provide teachers and senior leaders within schools and within trusts an overview of the trends of reporting within their school, so that they can make kind of targeted interventions with their colleagues.
Okay. All right. That's great work. Thank you, Kieran.
Thank you so much.
It's a really nice platform. I saw a few questions in the chat. We will be sharing all materials from today. I'll also share the platform so you can share among your network or educators that you know. So thank you so much, Kieran.
Thank you.
So we are going to now move on. Today you will learn a lot about different tools. So get ready to receive lots of links for tools. And now we move on to a course. Zoe Lardou from COFACE Families Europe. She is she's an education program coordinator there, and we'll talk about a course on inclusive education. And although it's not very disability focused, it's still inclusive education. So Zoe, can you please share with us what this course is? A short intro.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Tavishi, for giving us this platform, and thank you everyone for having us today. So as Tavishi was saying, I'm education program coordinator at COFACE Families Europe. I understand you might not be familiar with this organization, so I'm just going to take a minute to briefly present what we do. So we are a European network that represents families, professionals, and volunteers. And we advocate for strong social policies that guarantee equal opportunities for all families. A few years ago, COFACE Families Europe, jointly with our Greek member CMOP Education Hub, created a program called the LINK program. So LINK stands for Learning and Innovating Through New Knowledge. So the idea behind this program was to create and share educational and tools and resources, that supports lifelong learning for parents, professionals, individuals, organizations in topics related to families in general. But the idea was to give them like a continuous support and guidance. And so it's in that context that we created the school bullying management course. So I'm just going to share with you really briefly. There you go. So I will share with you the link to register for the course right after my presentation. But this is what it looks like, the introduction page. So you will have like a short introductory video. So the course was created by Antonia Torrance. She's an educational psychologist, and she's the president of COFACE and also director of MAP Education Hub. So Antonia and her team created the school bullying management course. So even though this course is targeted for educators and teachers mostly, it is really open to everyone. It's a free course upon free registration on the MAP Education Hub, and it's fully online. So I'm just scrolling through it really briefly, but then I will let you have a look. It's best for you to discover more about it by yourselves. I will stop sharing. There you go. I will send you the link right after. But then the course is fully online, and it's gonna take around 3 hours, but it is asynchronous. So it means that you can take it at your own pace. If you have just like 10 minutes, you can just watch a video for 10 minutes, and then another day you can do something else. The idea is for you to like have like a learning that is flexible to your needs, to your work schedule, your personal schedule, and also like be mindful of your headspace, right? Because it's quite a heavy topic to touch upon. So this course has different learning objectives. One of them is to give you a deep understanding of the different forms of bullying, but also for you to learn and apply non-punitive methods to address bullying, because we try and be as compassionate and empathetic as we can be, right? So as Tavishi was saying, even though this course is not targeting teachers of pupils with special needs, it's still in line with the COFACE shift approach, which is to mainstream disability, and the content is inclusive of children with disabilities. So you will see the course mostly addresses bullying, but it also has a subsection about cyberbullying. I was just looking at a few figures from the World Health Organization. They had a report back in 2024, and they were saying that 1 in 6 teenagers reported cyberbullying others, and 1 in 8 teenagers reported having been cyberbullied. So we can see there's a constant increase in cyberbullying. Also because teenagers spend more and more time on the digital technology, so it needs to be addressed and supported. So it shows that there's like a need to foster digital literacy and digital safety. And just like maybe to get back on what cyberbullying is, it's defined by the UNICEF as like bullying with the use of digital technologies. So it can take place on social media, mobile phones, messaging platforms, gaming platforms, you name it. And the idea is that it's a repeated behavior that will aim at scaring, shaming, and or angering the person who is targeted. So we had this in mind when we created the course. So yeah, we do have like a section on cyberbullying. I don't want to go too much into details because I would spoil the surprise for you, and it's best for you to actually really take the course. But yeah, it was just like a really brief introduction into the course.
Yes, thank you, Zoe. In fact, yeah, cyberbullying, it's kind of a community effort to combat it. You can't just do it at school now. You have to also involve parents and children. So there is a lot of skills that different people in the community have to pick up. It's a role everyone plays. So what makes this course a bit unique? Because we have a lot out there. So shortly, what makes it unique?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, there are many resources and courses on bullying and cyberbullying, which is a really good thing because we really need to address this topic. But what I would say is that the school bullying management course stands out in different ways. First is that it gives like compassionate approaches to handling bullying and cyberbullying in class. So you will see on the course, we present the no blame approach, which is like a non-punitive method. The idea is to activate group dynamics within the class to increase empathy and support towards the pupil or pupils being bullied. And the idea is that this type of approach will influence the behavior of the perpetrator. And it's really important to like emphasize that with this approach, other children can become the safety net in a way of like for the child being bullied. So like that's one thing, and like another important point that is really focal to COFACE is that this course promotes a whole school approach, which means that, as you were saying, we involve the whole community in tackling well-being and bullying, right? So like the idea is to have like a cohesive collective action to address the needs of learners and staff, but not just for the curriculum, but also like through like the whole school environment. So this will help foster like positive school climates and bring more focus on well-being in general. So it's what you were saying, like it's an idea of having a shared responsibility. So for us, parental involvement, for instance, is paramount to tackling bullying. But parents also need support in that way, right? We have a lot of teachers who have like more resources, but then parents go to them and are like, we also need resources, you know, it's like a teamwork. So this actually gives me a good transition to mention that this course is mostly targeted to teachers and educators, but in the autumn 2025, we're going to offer the same course to parents this way. So we're hoping that it will strengthen, you know, a type of collaboration or partnership between educators and parents, and then they can better work together and better address bullying and cyberbullying.
Okay, thank you, Zoe. Another interesting tool, of course, it will be shared later with you in an email. We will, yeah.
I
Do you want to
will
say
just like send you the link on the chat right now. But yeah.
Perfect. Thank you,
Thank
Zoe.
you.
So we are almost now towards we are in the last segment actually now of the webinar, and that is the ADEDU course. This course is on digital inclusive education. We spoke about learning diversity in the first webinar. We spoke about technology integration. And today we're going to talk about conflict management, something we've spoken about for the past 40 minutes. But now Ilias from an organization in Greece, IASIS, will be presenting this course to all of us. Also, IASIS, along with Hellenic Open University, they have made this course together. So with that, Ilias, please.
Thank you very much, Tavishi. Thank you very much, guys and girls, being around again. I have been here in these ADEDU webinars since the beginning, and it's really very nice that we are all together and new people are coming and discussing these matters and these issues that are concerning all of us as teachers. And yes, the last part will be dedicated to the conflict resolution in the physical classroom. And I will share with you the presentation. Actually, Thanos will share with you because the last time I couldn't share. So now we'll have my colleagues' support, and thanks very much for this. One moment to start discussing about conflict resolution in physical classroom. Yes, yes. I think now you can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it. Since
Yes.
I can see it, you can see it. You'll put it like this, or you'll make it full, Thanos? Thanks God, I was not the only one. You can leave it as it is.
This happens with you each webinar.
Yes, I don't know why. Here we are.
There you go.
Fantastic. So, conflict resolution in a physical classroom. So, what we are trying to do here, we are trying to create, as the title says, inclusive, responsive learning environments. This is the main idea. Next, please. Yes. In the next 10, 12 minutes, we will try to set the scene and to understand a little bit the nature of conflict. Of course, we'll speak about the psychological and emotional containment as a measure for regulation. Some very, very quick practical conflict management tools we'll pass through as well. Before we close, we will check a little bit the role of power, gender, and group dynamics. This is now that I'm putting my head of the systemic psychologist. And of course, we will pass the closing thoughts, the last minutes, and to share together what are our thoughts about the conflict. Okay. As in all webinars, if you remember me for the previous time, please interrupt, write on the chat. I will ask you some things as well directly, and I will need your participation because it's a very lonely process to be here without discussing with you guys. So, why we talk about conflict? Firstly, because conflict is everywhere, okay? Because as a systemic psychologist, I assure you that it happens in every human system that we can find. And if you think about yourself, I'm sure that you confirm this fact. We can find conflict inside families, in between friends, inside our working environments, especially in teams, in every team actually, and of course in classrooms. Because classrooms, what are classrooms? Classrooms are microcosms of society. Yeah? So inside our classrooms, there are diverse beliefs, diverse needs, and of course, diverse emotions from our students. In the physical classroom, the conflict can be visible. So we can have an argument, you can have even a fight, and we can check it the time that it happens, but can be invisible as well. So to feel the tension or to check that some people are excluded from the team, but of course the conflict is not visible, but is there. The way that we respond as teachers, educators, and of course facilitators, as I told you here, it sets the tone of safety, learning, and trust. So it's very important to keep all these elements inside our classrooms. And to keep these elements and to create this atmosphere, it depends on our response in conflict. Of course, this is why it matters. Because if we don't manage it, and the elephant is still in the classroom, is still in the room, okay, then of course we will lead to feelings of shame, of fear, or disengagement of the people. We will lose our pupils, our children. Eh? But on the opposite, if we manage well this conflict that happens, then we create empathy, we create accountability and growth for students and for us as well. It's important for us as educators. Conflict is not a new story, guys. 600 years before BC, the old BC, because the new BC is before COVID and after COVID. So before Christ, this BC, a philosopher, Heraclitus, managed to say a few words about conflict, about war, because war is conflict as well, says that it's the father of all and kind of all. And some he manifested as gods, some as men. Some he made slaves, some free. Seeing the importance, of course, of the conflict in our life in general. So I have the question for you, and please share your thoughts and your experience actually. Yeah? When was the last time you witnessed or experienced conflict in the classroom, and how was it handled? Very, very short. I mean, not long story. Who wants to share something here?
You can write in the chat, or you can also
write in
switch
the
on
chat,
your
yes.
mic. You can also speak and tell us if that's better. Let's see, do we have any volunteers?
Come on, share something with us. Share your experiences. I'm sure that you are well experienced in this room.
Yes. Well, I can go if no one else. I can start.
Yes, you can start, Tavishi.
So, Ilias, I'm actually learning Dutch. So that's the only classroom setting I sit in right now. And we did have a situation where there was this one student who was constantly speaking over other students. So that meant that she was taking away someone else's learning opportunity. But the way my teacher dealt with it was by not saying anything. She just brushed it under the carpet. She was like, okay, at least someone is answering it. That's my experience.
Well, thank you very much, Tavishi. Thank you very much for sharing this short story. Huh? I'm sure that we have a lot of them as well. Who else wants to say something? Any volunteer? The last minute? I cannot see anything.
Maybe Ilias?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I didn't know whether you would hear me. I mean, it wasn't conflict between the peers. It was more like a conflict with the teacher. Like my mom used to be a teacher, so the conflict was more in the behavioral part of it. But I remember like she had some students with learning, let's say, disabilities, and yeah, there was a moment in which like it was difficult for her to understand the behavior of the student. So yeah, like even the evaluation method probably weren't 100% fair, also because there was no proper training. So in a way there was maybe conflict in this sense.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I totally agree. I belong to this era as well. When I was a student, if all the issues were characterized as, oh, he's a bad student. He's a bad under this umbrella of bad student was everything. Like issues, emotional issues, learning disability, everything. Everything was under the umbrella of bad student. Anyway, so guys, what is conflict really? It's a perceived incompatibility of actions, goals, or ideas. So our actions are not in the same way. Okay. What trigger the conflicts in classroom? Behavioral disruptions, diversity in value, unmet needs. And of course, we have the famous conflict iceberg. I'm sure that you all know about it. Like the iceberg, we can see only a very small part that is under the water, up of the waterline. Huh? So the consequences, the impact, the events, the conflict that happens in front of us stands at the surface. But if we go a little bit deeper, we can check, and we need to go deeper. We can check all these hidden situations and issues that are bigger part of the iceberg, like environmental pressures, fragile relationships, emotions, different agendas in between even the students, and of course some cultural issues that can be under the conflict iceberg. We have healthy conflict as well. It's not only all the time bad. Huh? So a healthy conflict focuses on issues and don't take anything in personal. Provides open communication and active listening. Leads to problem-solving learning, which is very, very, very important. And strong binds the people together. Creates the space for diverse perspectives, and of course, can regulate emotions, which is very, very important as a tool as well. Okay. Of course, we have the unhealthy conflict that goes to the escalation, and we are leading to blame, to insult someone, or to struggle using power of the people. So avoid addressing root causes, not goes directly to the root, and leads to disconnection, fear, or exclusion, reinforces stereotypes, and often driven by unmet emotional needs and lack of psychological safety, which is very important for our classrooms to be created. How to build the resolution? Emotional containment, helping students feel seen, heard, and held. So avoid shaming, validate emotion without justifying harmful behavior, not to harm anyone and to point out anyone, and stay calm. This is this stay calm model is a very, very nice model to show as a role model as well as teachers. Huh? Next. This stay calm model, emotional regulation. So we know that students mirror usually the adult's emotional state. What I'm feeling as a tutor usually reflects to my own student. So if we escalate, they will do it as well. If we remain grounded, they learn how to co-regulate. So containment means you are safe. Even if you are a little bit upset, you are safe. Emotional regulation is not about suppressing feelings. We don't want to hide, but to manage the reactions of these feelings. So use some self-awareness tools, deep breath, grounding phrases. I can handle this. Okay, I know sometimes it's difficult to think about it, but try to think it. And posture awareness. And of course, as teachers, what will help us? The narrative part. I can feel myself getting frustrated, so I'm taking a breath before I respond. It's very, very important to keep our consciousness during the conflict phase. So, some very, very quick tools. Name it to tame it from the neuropsychologist Dr. Dan Siegel. Very interesting thing. We will speak a little bit more about this. Try to use this restorative questioning, these paraphrasing techniques. What happened? Who has affected? How we can repair the damage have done? Stop, breathe, respond framework. So we stop, take breaths, and then reply to the people. And of course, active listening and reframing. Again, reframing, paraphrasing are more important tools for teachers. This name it to tame it is like the elephant in the room, as we said it. So we help a student to put words to their emotional experience, because this activates the thinking brain and soothes the emotional brains. And of course, naming feelings, or when we point out that the feeling that I have, I'm very angry right now, okay, creates this emotional distance from them. When you name it, at the same time, you take the distance. So it gives the student this sense of control and reduces this impulsive behavior that escalates usually if we leave it as it is. So we can use again the narrative part, of course, as in the coffin. So it seems like you're feeling very frustrated right now. We recognize the frustration. We don't deny the frustration of our student. No? I can see the situation made you feel excluded. Is that right? If we use this kind of narrative part, we are building gradually emotional literacy and trust. Guys, think the last minute of my presentation that many times it's not just about the conflict. We speak about the group dynamics, and we can recognize several things inside as elements. So power asymmetry. So teacher, student, peer-to-peer. We have different levels of hierarchies inside the students' groups. And this is more complicated when we talk about adult educators and adult education in general. Gender stereotypes. As an example, boys used to be aggressive, and the girls used to be manipulative. So even our small biases comes in front of our teaching process. And of course, we need to think about the groupthink, about scapegoating, and alliances inside the group dynamics. I think that we have to take the conflict as an opportunity. Conflict is inevitable and essential to growth. It's a part of growth, as Heraclitus says, 600 years before Christ. So try to have our toolbox with us, not to control, okay? And we don't manage conflict to restore peace. We manage it to restore connection. And connection is a key word for every teacher doing his job, teaching and showing paths to the people. Thank you very much. That was it from me. On time, 1 minute before.
Thank you, Ilias.
You're most welcome, guys. Thank you very much.
This course is, of course, it's open now. We will share links to this course as well. We, in fact, just now recently finished the pilot, so we hope you find the course interesting. And thank you so much today for joining, everyone. I see some names, they are familiar, so we have a loyal fan base, and I'm very happy about that. And I hope you can keep joining these webinars. We have 6 more to go, and they'll all be unique. I promise you that. Even if Ilias keeps speaking at these webinars, he still talks about different topics. So it's going to continue to be unique. And today, I think some quick reflections. We have definitely seen how AI is something that is part of education now, and we don't need to fear it. We just need to, as Sandra said, compare and see which which outcome is the best for us in an educational setting. And when it comes to conflict management, cyberbullying and bullying, shared responsibility, something that I think has really stuck with me, that it's all of us, we all contribute to it in some way, to combating this. And for now, this is our last webinar before the summer. We will also be taking a short break, and we will be back in September. I will share information. It's going to be a different kind of a webinar. I will not give you information right now, but you will hear from me soon. So thank you, everyone, and have a nice rest of the week. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.